The industry today has seen significant shift in consumer behavior towards food, whether it's health and nutrition, consumers looking for cleaner label foods, alternate proteins, waste management, also improved shelf life, and more bioavailable materials, including traditional wellness materials and so on. On the other hand, we're also seeing various challenges on malnutrition, storage conditions or storage challenges, which was also highlighted by the Ministry of Food Processing yesterday for perishable, leading to high wastage. It is my pleasure to welcome each of you to this panel discussion with our esteemed panel of speakers on the scientific advances and technological innovation in food and nutrition by our premium academic and research institutes, with the potential of achieving global aspirations for food systems and to discuss about enabling their use to solve the challenges which are of concern to consumers, governments, and industry nationally and internationally. It's my great privilege to welcome Mr. Vikas Gupta, Global Head R&D Tata Consumer Products, who will be moderating this panel discussion. It's a great privilege to have you here with us, Vikas. He is responsible to drive R&D function and innovation processes across India and the international business for Tata Consumer. During his tenure with the company, he has played a key role in achieving successful launches of innovation projects across global markets for beverages and food categories. Before joining Tata Consumer Products, he has spent almost 10 years at GlaxoSmithKline Beecham, consumer healthcare products, and then close to 3 years at Unilever in the R&D function. I'd also like to personally thank Tata Sampann for partnering with us at this event and really showing us the validation of the fact that why we wanted to do this in the first place and bring the ecosystem together. So thank you so much, Vikas, for being here.
Thanks, Rinka.
It's a great privilege to welcome Dr. C. Vasudevappa, Vice Chancellor, NIFT. Thank you very much, sir, for being here with us. Dr. Vasudevappa, Vice Chancellor of NIFT, completed bachelor's and master's degrees in fisheries at Fisheries College in Mangalore and obtained PhD from Cochin University of Science and Technology. As a research scientist, he handled more than 14 both national and international research projects in the areas of freshwater prawn, shrimp, and other aquaculture systems. He has published more than 75 publications. He is serving as a member of the Scientific Advisory Committee of FSSAI, member of the Selection Committee for FSSAI, and serving as chairman of Lab Research Council, DFRL, DRDO, Ministry of Defense, Mysore. Thank you so much for being here with us, sir. Dr. C. Anantharamakrishnan, Director, NIFT, Tanjore, thank you very much for being here with us, sir. Dr. Anantharamakrishnan is presently the Director of NIFT, Tanjore, which was formerly called as IFPT from 2016. He's having more than 2 decades of experience in research and administration. His areas of research include design of engineered nano and microscale delivery systems for the controlled and targeted release of food bioactive compounds, which is of great interest in today's world. 3D food printing, engineered human dynamic gastrointestinal system and glycemic index studies, spray drying and spray freeze drying of food products, and computational modeling of food processing operations. Dr. Anantharamakrishnan, awarded with the prestigious ICAR Rafi Ahmed Kidwai Award for Outstanding Research in Agricultural Sciences 2019. Thank you so much for being here with us, sir. Dr. Sridevi Annapurna Singh, Director CSIR CFTRI, it is my absolute privilege to have you with us over here, ma'am. Dr. Sridevi A. Singh, an accomplished food technologist and active researcher, has taken over as the director of Mysore-based premium R&D institution, CSIR CFTRI, in January 2021. In her career spanning over 3 decades, she worked extensively on both basic and applied aspects of food science. Dr. Sridevi has been the governing council member of National Agri Biotechnology Institute, Mohali, member expert committee on public health and nutrition, BIS subcommittee on oils and oilseeds, interagency on micronutrients, and board of studies of Mysore University. She's the task force also of chairperson for FSSAI committee on Indian mithais and namkeens, which was also a topic of interest as of yesterday, as we had seen. So thank you so much, ma'am, for being here with us. I'd like to welcome, last but absolutely not the least, my colleague, Mr. Gauri Nandan Tompe, co-founder and CEO of Thinking Folks Consulting. Mr. Gauri Nandan Tompe is the co-founder and CEO of Thinking Folks, who has had close to 3 decades of R&D experience with organizations like Unilever and Mars Wrigley in various leadership roles. In his last stint at Mars Wrigley, he headed R&D for the Asia Pacific business. He has vast experience in developing product and process technologies across a wide range of products like dressings, tomato products, ice creams, chocolates, gums, mints, confectionery, cooking aids, soups, staples, and beverages. So that's a huge portfolio of products that he has worked with. He has built strong and responsive R&D teams capable partnering with business teams and strong science and technology capabilities. With this, I'd like to hand over to Mr. Vikas Gupta, who will be moderating the session today. And also, people who are listening in to us, please do type in your questions on the chat box, and we'll be taking this after in the last 15 minutes of the conversation. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rinka. Thanks for wonderfully setting in the context, and I can't be more excited, to be part of this session in the forum. In fact, when you spoke to me first time and you introduced me to the esteemed panel, members of the panel, I was particularly kicked off for a reason that, Ma'am Shri Devi, Director of CFTRI, I have a very high regards given the fact that I'm a alma mater from the same institute. I had, being taught by Dr. Ramakrishna, Anant Ramakrishnan sir. So again, it's so for me, it has been a very different privilege. Of course, when I started my career with Unilever R&D, Tompe was one of the senior colleagues, again, who made us feel very welcome. So it feels like a family fraternity for me to be part of, this forum and to facilitate this panel. So extremely excited to be part of this session. With NIFT again, while I have not had much interaction, but we have been having students from your campus who have been working with us as part of internship program, and that's how we have been interacting with your campus. So it's absolute privilege in that context to moderate this session. Before we get going, I'd like to take the opportunity just to share a few thoughts and setting in the context of how we would take next hour or so, discussing about, the scientific advancements in the academia and how industry can benefit from it. I think the larger stuff for me is the fact that one thing I am personally very passionate about has been the mapping of consumer trends and consumer needs. And when I heard Rinka's, initially even giving us the debrief of discussions yesterday, what struck me was the fact that, consumers today are looking for, I think there are 3 or 4 mega trends which consumers resonate very well with, be it health and wellness, and given the global pandemic scenario, it has been accentuated with everybody's life. Convenience is another area where consumers are looking as the lifestyle is getting busier day by day. Sustainability has been a huge area of focus, and people are looking at sustainability from multiple dimensions. It could be sustainability towards the packaging, towards our environment, even now the business processes are being focused from a sustainable manner. And of course, the other bit is the fact that we are more getting rooted to, going back to our roots, and therefore the ask for some of the natural propositions is always something which is on very high trend. So when we look at, therefore, and if I resonate back to the key highlight by Minister yesterday, Shri Manoj Joshi, when he spoke about millets and therefore how do we leverage millets as a platform. Some of us have been associated with the UN run preparation for this International Year of Millets 2023. This has been this has been a very strong trend now. And if I have to further resonate with Shri Arun Singhal, who spoke about the need of food and nutrition, and that's what Rinka emphasized in the beginning. I think in India we have got 2 set of problems. There is at one end we are dealing with plenty of so therefore we have issues with high sugar, high carb, high calorie consumption leading to diabetes, cardiac issues. So we have to think about on one axis how do we bring reductionism. And on another axis where there is issues with malnutrition, undernourished population, and therefore we have to look at functionalism in the health and nutrition aspect of it. A forum like this sets in the tone for how we are going to prepare ourselves. And the academia and industry can come together and address some of these key challenges. The technology has to innovate to meet the consumer needs. I think the consumer is at the heart of everything we do, whether it's academic institutes like CFTRA, NIFTM, or IFPT, or even from an industry perspective, where what Gori, what Tompi and me represent today. It has to, we have to innovate from the business models perspective, the entire ecosystem. And in that, I think what we are going to discuss in next 1 hour is how we can bring the entire interaction and the level of collaboration between academia and industry to the next level. Historically, we have always seen as academia coming up with the breakthrough innovation for industry to take up. But again, I would like to table some of the thoughts today about, is there something which academia can also take from industry? Do we have something to offer to academia so that this collaboration is a lot more synergetic rather than a one-way traffic? I think that's how I would like to set the context and the tone for next 45 minutes or so. And I would request the academia heads to just talk us through about some of the recent innovations at your campuses, how you guys are leading the science and technology in your respective institutes. And maybe I would request Dr. Shridevi, if we can start with you, and you can share with the audiences how CFTRA is leading from the front.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, and it's a pleasure to be part of this. Definitely, as you know, CFTRA has been in existence since 1950, and every decade has led to innovations at a different level. And as of now, if you look at it, since 2000 onwards, many of the scientists are looking, as you rightly put, at health and wellness. So there are many of these minor ingredients in food which we thought of were non-nutritive and had no role to play. And today the world has discovered that no, they have a very big role to play in terms of well-being. So be it a prebiotic, which will help for the probiotics to grow in our gut. And we all know that the gut is now recognized as a second brain, and it controls most of our health. But there are also many traditional beliefs in our country, and there is not much of scientific validation that has been reported. It is probably there, but not in a language that we understand either. So many scientists are also looking at the mode of action. What are these bioactive compounds that are present in these foods? How are they actually bringing about the activity that we are seeing? The exact metabolic pathway, what is it they are doing to have this? Apart from this, we are also looking for sustainable packaging materials. Again, that is a very important area, because food packaging, you all know, is extremely important, be it for attracting the consumer or for the shelf life and barrier properties. But plastic is no longer a very good material, and everybody is looking for alternatives. So we also are looking for that. Traditionally, we have been doing work on supplementary foods for the malnourished, especially the undernourished. There are around 200 undernourished people in the country. And we are, on the other hand, we are also looking at lifestyle related diseases. Specific people with cardiovascular disease or diabetics or maybe the geriatric, they all require different kinds of foods and different nutrients. We are trying to develop focused on these people so that they are available in our market and they can be taken off the shelf. And like you rightly mentioned, millets already CFTRA has done many technologies have been developed, be it puffing, be it flaking, or ready-to-eat foods. One of the important factors that needs to be considered is the higher amount of polyphenols, as well as the very active lipase, which will reduce the shelf life. So if we want to become an export hub for millets, especially in terms of Atmanirbharta and export increase, which our Prime Minister is actively supporting, we need to find fundamental factors that can be responsible for decreasing the lipase activity and increasing the shelf life. Only then the products that we make from these millets and from the whole grains are going to be stable. So I think the other speakers I'll give a chance, but I will stop over here. I can go on and on for the next 1 hour. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Sridevi. Maybe I would now like to request Dr. Vasudevappa, just to talk us through, the advancements in the area of science and technology and how NIFTM is leading them.
Yeah, maybe I'll just share. Not that one, this one. Yeah, I hope I'm visible. Yeah, I mean, voice.
So we can hear you, yeah, and now we can see your presentation as well.
So audible?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Good, and good morning, everybody. I think it's a great moment for all of us to be together and discussing on some issues which I would say the industry is looking forward or a common man is looking forward. That is something which is very important. Of course, NIFTM is the organization which has been really looking in this direction, especially with innovations and value addition, and even I would say fortification, and I would say even promoting industry through an incubation. So that's where I think we are, and not moving. Moving. Next. Okay. Of course, I don't have to much emphasize on these things because they are part of the academics. And this is where I think we do have advanced ecosystem for entrepreneurship and training, which I would say is very, very important in the present day context. In fact, we do have incubation facility on fruits, vegetables, and meat and poultry and milk and dairy, ready to eat products. And of course, very recently we have established an excellent bakery. And of course, we do have Center for Food Research and Analysis, that is the laboratory which is taking care of the analytical part of it. This apart, of course, we do have two or three center of excellences which have been created. One is on the cold chain technology and management, and in collaboration with, I would say, there are 3-4 international organizations and also the Department of Logistics we are working on, and probably CIA is also involved in it. And this is that apart, I think we are collaborating with Hexagon, GAIN, and all that to have work on food fortification. And in fact, the entire missionary part is supported by them, and we are already there, and we are establishing maybe in another few days. That apart, the translation research, especially on addressing issues related to packaging through bio or nanobiotechnology, I think that is another big area where we plan to be really seriously involved. So of course, looking at, of course, the publication part of it, I think the number of publications are slowly increasing. This year, we had more than 122 Scopus indexed articles addressing various issues of food science and technology. Of course, some books also, about 10 books have been published last year. And our achievements, of course, looking at the patents, probably the antimicrobial layered nanocomposite has been patented by NIFTM. That apart, we have one trademark, especially on the cocoa Shrest. This was done in 2020, and a copyright in 2020, again on structural analysis of tool version 1. So patents are already, one is granted, and I said already, the other 7 or 8 are under submission. These are the technologies or the products which have been developed by NIFT. And here I would say the enzyme-free optical nanobiosensor for detection of eye lactate in food samples. This is gaining a lot of importance everywhere. A lot of people are seriously interested in this, especially the milk industry. And of course, the label-free nanosensor for total aflatoxins in food. This is also a probe which has been developed, and it is found to be very good, and there is a huge demand. In fact, we are trying to patent it. That is the reason it has not come out. Otherwise, I know we have to find alternative ways. Otherwise, waiting for patent may really outdate the whole thing. So that is another thing. Of course, development of cellulose nano-viscous-based biodegradable food packaging material using agro waste, especially the potato peel. This is another area. where a lot of the biodegradable materials now we are trying to bringing in, including especially the waste which are generated during the processing. And of course, that apart, the coconut extraction machine, which has been developed, of course, for the North Indian conditions. Anyway, I think, IAFPT or our counterpart, they have done a good job on this. And linear domestic refrigerator, which can be used at home without much of energy requirement. So that is another thing. And evacuated tube solar dryer. This has been a new concept. Of course, the solar dryers are being used for many of the drying activities and things like that. How do we bring in efficiency in this is another big area. And PCM assisted flat plate collector solar dryer, again, further improvement on this. Of course, bundi dispenser and all that is being done. Low carb meat carcass storage. This is another big thing which has a lot of application, I would say, especially for the street, the meat sellers. And the protein rich granola bar, and of course the healthy cookies for muffins which have been developed. And I would say here a lot of millet based cookies have been developed. And this is another thing, of course, very, very important thing. And even the cakes and other things, how do we incorporate what should be the level and things like that. High protein sugar free cookies and multi-grain muffins, like especially using herbal cookies and things like that. So the products, if you look at again the cereals and millet technology, I think we are, of course, a lot of, I would say, good progress has been done in this direction. With regard to the millets, we had two projects already. One from, of course, from the government of Madhya Pradesh, and another from, of course, government of Uttarakhand. A lot of work is going on in this direction, how to really meet the requirement. Since we have a ready-to-eat plant, a lot of these products are coming out, especially in even, I would say, extruded products are also we are making out of the millets. The multigrain pasta and, of course, protein-rich granular bar and savory veggie and gluten-free cookies, sattu cookies. This is another thing which is especially more popular in the northern Indian things. And sugar-free muffins, kodo and kutki millets, which are also being used, that are apart from like the lactation cookies, especially done for Kerala government. This is supported by Kerala government, where the women who are lactating mothers, they are how actually the milk production can be enhanced. So that's where I think it has been, and it is found to be very good, and they are popularizing it all over the state. And of course, noodles, this is another area where work is going on. And of course, coming to the engineering technologies, probably, I think coconut water extraction is developed by our engineering team, and Linnaeus domestic refrigerator, of course, solar dryer, and all this bundi dispenser and low cost meat storage, and probably drying technology, especially for sweet potato, process technology for softening koha, peda, and buffy, and the process technology to reduce the oil content in samosa. So this is being worked out by the food engineering wing. And the technologies and products, if you look at for food safety and quality, probably, I think, acrylamide reduction in oils. This is something which is very, very important, especially in fried things. How do we reduce it? I think that is very important, because oil is used repeatedly 2 or 3 times. Economically layered and nano antibacterial material, maybe the oil, the onion spoilage sensor, which is being developed. Shelf life extension from chilling injury of guava. This is something which is found to be very good. And shelf life extension from chilling injury of mango, and universal fluorescent bio strain and anti-tracker. I think these are all some things which are going on, and probably you can see the pictures also. And with regard to the fortification, I would like to just mention here, we have gone into an MOU, and we have the Hexagon Nutrition and the Gain. Hexagon Nutrition is supported with the equipments. Of course, the Gain is supporting technically, and it's going on very well. In fact, especially for fortification of edible oil with natural antioxidants, and vitamin D fortified milk-based beverages, especially lassi. Technological development of instant probiotic fruit juice powder. This also has been developed, and the biodiesel production, And probably I think food industry waste utilization, this is another thing where we are really focusing especially on how to utilize the waste for various activities including bioactive compounds. And seaweed tea infusion rich in which is rich in, I would say, polyphenols, this also is being done. And of course, the CEFRA lab, which is there especially for food analysis, it has become, I would say, a referral lab for the country, and it is recognized by and the integrated, and I would say accreditation has happened, and now people can use this facility, especially for getting their food evaluated. These are all different projects. We have, I think, about more than 16 projects which are going on in NIFT. These are all externally funded. And of course, we also have some internally funded projects. I would like to make a mention.
I think we have lost him.
I think there's a connection issue with Dr. Vasudevappa.
Maybe we can just carry it forward to the next panelist and then come back.
Yeah,
to it.
yeah, sure. So maybe I would then like to invite
This, going to various, I would say, maybe the NIFTM website or maybe to even the ministry website. So this is where I think the exhibition was happened. And coming to the corporate partners, probably I think we have a lot ways and a lot of our students are getting employed, as well as they are supporting the research part through a contract research organization, which we have established in the institute. So this is, of course, the placement is good here. And I think probably with this, another very important initiative is the NIFT Technology Innovation and Business Foundation, which is, we have selected about 9 incubators, and now the work is going on in this direction. We have just made a beginning this year, and likely this, the base will be further expanded. So that's where I think NIFT can be utilized by the industry, by the people who are concerned and are really interested in food processing, value addition, and all that, which can really become, I would say, a sort of a knowledge provider for the country. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Thanks a lot for giving us very detailed insight about some of the capabilities what NIFTIM has established. So moving on, I would like to now invite Dr. Anant Ramakrishnan, and would request sir to share some of the great work which IFPT has been leading. So sir, over to you.
Thanks, Vikas. It's really a pleasure to meet you in this platform, and thanks for the organizers to invite me. And yes, IFPT is recently upgraded as an Institute of National Importance Status, and the name has been changed as NIFTM Tanjavur. And yes, we are working on mostly on the earlier and now on the primary processing, our major focus in the post-harvest loss and how to do that. And mainly we develop the machinery for the post-harvest for onion peeling machine, onion root cutter, converting into the onion powder and paste. And we set up our unique facilities in the where is the onion is growing. The same model we operated for the coconut, and different processing for the 23 products has been developed from the coconut itself, because we are the one of the second largest producer of the coconut, but we are not doing the good business in the international market like Indonesia or Vietnam is occupied major into that. And even we developed the machine for the what is that waste is generated in our temples, the coconut water collection machine recently we developed, installed in the temple itself. More than 5,000 coconut is offered to goddess, so that can be collected or can be given to the prasadam to their devotees. So that we installed in the temple is working very well. And also we developed the mobile processing units, and even COVID time it has been taken to the field, and we given the business model for the farmers producers company to operate the mobile processing unit, like a tomato ketchup and tomato juice, all things we can make it for the tomato. Same vehicle can be used for the other commodities as well. In line with that, we have developed the rice processing, mobile rice processing machine also we developed. So like that we can go for the parboiling, milling, everything can be happen in the mobile. And like moringa and other, all the primary processing machinery, exclusive machinery has been developed and we installed in the field itself. In the secondary processing side, we work for the different type of product development, like Sridevi ma'am and Vasudeva sir mentioned about the millets. Yes, we do also work on the millets, and when we are celebrating the year of millet, we need a variety of product. The main issue in the millet is the storage. After milling, you can't store more than 3 months. The insect attraction is very high in the millets, most of the millets, and how to solve that problem. Until unless we are not solving the storage problem, it's very difficult. So we are also working on the different storage solutions for this millet flour and the milling practices, as well as the value-added product. For example, we developed the purely and the non-dairy millet ice cream has been developed and launched. Is a transfer the technology more than 5 companies right now, and other companies in the pipelines, and other products also, different products we have developed in the secondary processing. Tertiary product, mainly we have focused more on that because food ingredient to market, we are somewhere, India is lagging. We need to do a lot into that, like a small countries like a Netherlands and other countries are doing good business onto that. That's what we have. Main focus is now on the development of the food ingredients from the our either spice principles and all other commodities, mainly for the delivery system, nano delivery systems, micro delivery system. We are the pioneering on that different delivery system and encapsulation, multi-layer encapsulation, and 3 fluid nozzle. Like we are closely working with the industries like a plant lipids or the Dr. Reddy's lab. Like that, we are working very closely for developing the different delivery system, and we have come up with the fortification. And we know that very soon we are going to implement the rice fortification in our country, and very few institutions are working on creating the rice. We are creating the both extrusion rice as well as 3D printer rice, along with the fortification of iron as well as the vitamins, minerals, the same shape and characteristics of the rice and other things, and alternatives like a salt, sugar, fat alternatives. Salt, we develop the nano salt that can like a perception of the salt will be increases when you increase the surface area, and alternative to sugar. We use the near of sugar crystals like a low GI with the higher impact, and other alternative fat also we are working with some companies. And technology wise, yes, 3D food printing, India's first 3D food printing has been published by IFPT, like scientific papers, and we are also working on the food 3D printing development of the machine itself. Now we move on to the 4D printing, and we could able to get some good impact on that system, and we are commercial production. We are starting now for the making the small type 3D printer machine, and a variety of the product has been done, including the vegan meat from the 3D food printing. Recently, you may be aware of that most of the companies like a Beyond Meat and redefine the meat. All people are coming into that business. So we are also doing the similar type of thing with our waste, what is generated from the fruits and vegetables, to create the such type of facilities and non-thermal processing. You know that we need to do a lot into that. We are starting the center of excellence in the non-thermal with the high pressure processing, pulse electric field, and irradiation and other things. And virtual marketing one is the missing in our link in India, because 90% of our industries are micro medium industry. For them, we need to tell them which is the product. You have to keep it in the shelves and how the designing of that. Monash University is doing the similar line. NIFT of Tanjore is create a virtual market. You can create your store in the virtually, then you enter into that, where is your eyeball is going, you can track into that, take that AI based analysis of how to design your product, how to put the logo. That studies also we have started here, the supply chain management. And the sensorial evaluation, again we put the AI enabled sensory lab has been created here. When you test the product, even your facial expression, eyeball movement, everything can be tracked, and that data along with that, even color and music, and how that influence your taste perception or the appearance of the food, everything can be analyzed. That also we enable. And packaging, we are also working with along with the other institutions like a alternative to single-use plastics and other things. We develop the starch-based cornstarch based packaging film. Even extruder we have done, extruder packaging film we have done, and based from the like a jackfruit plate. And recently we developed the tea cups from the jackfruit waste, because you drink the tea, you use the cup, it has the good amount of protein and fiber. Such things, technology has been developed. What Vikas is telling, missing link is how to take into the field. That's the what is the lab to land. We have to do that. That is the what government of India wanted to do. That we could able to do, but we are unable to make it a mass level. And industry participation on the most of this objective is still lagging. So we need to address that one. Otherwise, we do some research. It's like a silos type. We do some research. Industry is going. What Vikas mentioned about consumer preference is the industry target, and profit margin is the industry target. We are thinking of science can drive. Yes, science can do that, but how to convert a science into the business model, how to make money out of this science. That is the one thing industry and as well as academia like us, we have to sit together. We need to have some, we have the bottlenecks. So maybe that we need to address. Definitely that will be the future. Thank you.
Sorry, Thanks, sir. And I think before I move on, I just want to resonate to one of the point which you said, which has been about fortification of rice, which which your institute is trying to do. And if I have to come and not that I would rather park it for now, but I just thought what I want to leave with you is. We in Tata have been working on the fortification and salt, for example. We work with NIFT technology on double fortification of the salt. And one of the challenge we have seen with consumers, despite being able to offer a nutritious solution,
I've just opened the one which you had sent on Thursday, 21st. या उसके बाद कुछ दोबारा rework है?
Abhinav, can you put on mute? Sorry. Yeah.
4:30 वाले. Right.
Abhinav, please go on mute.
इसमें एक काम करो, सुनो, वेलकम एड्रेस में फिक्की लिखो, अभी ज्योतियों का नाम मत लिखो, वो पता नहीं वो दुबई में होंगी, कहाँ होंगी, कुछ पता नहीं.
Abhinav, please go on mute.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Rinka. Thank you. So the point I was trying to build is the fact that despite we have an iron fortified salt, what I've seen with consumers is, iron has challenges of interaction with atmosphere and therefore, turning black. And that leads to be one of the cause for consumers to start rejecting the product despite being nutritious. And even with rice, we have seen in certain instances where the color changes and consumers start picking it as if it's a rotten grain out of the stuff. So I think while implementing the technology is an easier task, how do we even educate consumers to understand the nutritional value of it and not just get, and consumer is right, taste is uncompromisable, aesthetics are uncompromisable. I think that to me, that still continues to be a challenge. So if time permit, I would definitely like to come back to you and seek your response on this particular query. But just in the interest of time, I would like to move forward, and maybe I'll now come to Ma'am Shridevi. At CFTR, while you broadly introduce some of the great work, what is happening at the campus, maybe I'd like to request you to share some of the success stories and the work which you guys have been doing. And I think how at a larger ecosystem level, the industry can benefit. So maybe I would request, in case you would like us to share a few slides, what you have sent across, we can do that. Or if you want to talk through, it would be great.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Recent times, actually, since we're talking about fortification, we have developed Fortification of Artha. The thing is, although it is present in the market, the cost drives the innovation. So for the small MSME, that is the micro, small and medium entrepreneurs who are using chakki or even the roller flour mills, just a small machine has been added, and that would then fortify it, and this can be used by the self-help groups also, and therefore this Artha can go into the government intervention programs where these nutrients are going to make a huge impact on the children or the pregnant women or teenage girls who are eating. And we have already transferred this technology to more than 60 entrepreneurs. So it has made a huge impact. In Himachal, the government is also doing it in a big way. Second, I'm sure all of us are very familiar with Big Basket. Thanks to the pandemic, at least we are all ordering online. And like rightly said, the consumer is looking for health and wellness also, which means that they want minimal processing and not the ultra processed foods as was the norm about maybe 2 or 3 decades ago. And CFTRS technology on minimally processed cut fruits and vegetables are being marketed by the Big Basket because we have a technology wherein most of the nutrients are not lost in the liquid that is there. And it can also give you the convenience of not having to cut the vegetables, because most of the women are also working today and there is a paucity of time. So similarly, there are many underutilized grains, especially in the Northeast, as well as, mahua is one such, where the tribals go and collect it. The main problem is it is having so much of sugar that they wait for it to fall from the tree, which means it's picking up a lot of mud and other kinds of grits and so on, which will bring down the quality. So products from mahua and the way of collection has been researched, And the Chhattisgarh as well as Maharashtra governments are in collaboration with CFTRI to take it to the next level. And soon we will be transferring it to the self-help groups as well as the industries, and they will be then producing it. So that will help to increase the income of the tribals. So these are just three off the cuff I'm talking about. I think you're muted.
Sorry, ma'am. No, I thought I just want you to also, if you want to bring on the recent work which CFTR has also been driving in the area of alternate protein, some of stuff
Yeah.
which you guys, so yeah.
Right. Okay. Actually, animal proteins, definitely people are not liking it because of it is not sustainable. And many of the teenagers especially want vegan proteins. And India too, we are seeing this trend. Actually, in the 70s itself, CFTRI had worked on protein concentrates. When you look at plant proteins, there are a lot of anti-nutrients that are present in the seeds, which will actually inhibit the protein digestibility, and it will not allow the proteins to get absorbed. So if we want to improve the digestibility as well as the availability of these proteins, then we have to make protein concentrates or isolates. So many companies, even we do have a few incubators in our own institute who are looking at alternate proteins. Fortunately, India has a large array of pulses and underutilized protein sources, and definitely some of them, like horse gram, for example, you can get a lot more protein. Another problem is because they are seeds and they are having very high molecular weight, the proteins do not get extracted into the water or the solvent that you are using for food purposes. So maximum you may be able to extract around 20%, which means the cost goes up tremendously. So if you want to make it equivalent to the cost of today's animal protein, then you need to actually increase the recovery and yield. So one way is if you can also hydrolyze the proteins by using enzymes and other green technologies, that also CFTRI has been doing, and we have hydrolysates which are already pre-digested and they are smaller molecular weight, so they can go as a very high protein quality ingredient into other food products, maybe geriatric foods, maybe convalescent foods, where the digestion of the person is actually compromised. Or it can go into sports nutrition too, where you want a beverage, but you don't want, settling of the protein at the bottom, which makes the consumer to believe that they are not getting the quality product or it has got spoiled. So all of this, and definitely we have made a lot of headway in getting the texture right. Now we have to work on getting the sensory quality apart from texture, as well as to have address this one very significant challenge in the Indian context, where you have biryani, tandoori kind of a thing, and not just a patty, which may even have bone. So to mimic that kind of a sensory quality is a challenge in the Indian context, and we are trying to do further work on that.
Thanks, ma'am. Thanks a lot. And let me assure you, this is an area which industry is watching very closely and carefully. This is a massive consumer trend. And, we would certainly look at some of the advancements from various institutes to really make this space disrupt. So thanks a lot for sharing your views on this. Now I would like to invite Tompe. Sorry, Tompe, you have been extremely patient, waiting for it. But I just wanted to get a bit more academia inputs before I come to you. So with your rich, experience of almost 3 decades with the industry, spanning between Wrigley's and Unilever, I'm sure you would have dealt at various occasions with various academic institutes. So maybe from an industry perspective, I would like you to share your take on some of the successes which you had, or where you feel industry could leverage from some of the advancements what various academic institutes could bring. So just would like to hear your views.
Thanks, Vikas. If I have to simplify the entire collaboration and entire scheme of things in which both industrial R&D and the large R&D organizations like CFTRI, NIFT, and others are working, and if I have to borrow term, we're all in the business of knowledge management. Either some of us are knowledge generators or some of us are knowledge utilizers. It is in this part of in this area where we need to have a very close collaboration and bringing in those technologies and those areas of interest which are mutually beneficial for us. The industry and the industrial R&D with the amount of interaction with the consumer and the consumer facing activity which we do can bring in a lot of information which otherwise is not available with the organizations and institutional R&Ds. And at the same time, the institutional R&D like CFTRI or NIFT can bring in the talent and the depth of knowledge which they have, which otherwise becomes extremely difficult for some of the industrial R&D institutes or for the small scale startups to invest in. So it is this area which is very, very important. The second biggest thing which I feel is a very good opportunity is bringing in, utilizing the talent available and coming from these institutes. Yeah, in my at least in the last 10 years of this thing, I have worked very closely with the JNTU, where we have managed to take in students and get them to work for the projects which we wanted, which otherwise was difficult for us to invest our resources. And we could get their students and train them in the industrial R&D environment, and at the same time impart our experience of planning and doing things in a time-bound manner, and at the same time have those extra resources to do things which we were not able to do it in this thing. So this is one very simple thing which we managed to do it. And having said that, there are many technologies even now which we are working with some of the institutional R&Ds, where we are trying to learn from their experience and their expertise to create certain solutions for the products, and bring in the technology and bring in the expertise which we don't have for creating some products for some of our clients. So these are the areas where I feel there's a good opportunity for industrial R&D and the institutional R&D to have a firm handshake and bring in that collaborative approach in solving problems.
Thanks, Tompe. Thanks a lot for sharing your perspective. I would just go around and maybe ask Dr. Anand Ramakrishnan, in case you would like to share some of the thoughts while we are looking at success stories from various institutes.
Yeah, that's what I said. Success stories comes where the problem, what one of these are telling, problem comes from the industry. We do ourselves, then we are looking for the market is very, very difficult. That's what your patent may be there, your idea may be there. How to convert your idea into the marketable idea? That is the key challenge what institutions are facing, because we are academician scientists. But we should know that what is the consumer trend, and it is the mass production, because most of the food industry makes the tons and tons of the productions. So how to make it as that type of thing, that's the great challenge. Main issue why we are facing is the patent rights, because we can jointly collaborate, but until unless we have the common agreement how to share the patent or IP rights, that's what most of the industries are little bit hesitant, especially pharma industry or the nutraceutical industry has that issue. So that we are able to sort it out. That's what I said about Reddy's Lab. We have worked with them and we sorted out that issue very easily. Initially, we faced the problem. Later, we have solved the issue. After that, the same model has been adapted for other industries. Like, for example, now we are working with the plant lipids to make some of the delivery systems, and actually other companies like vegetable oil powders and other things. That's very clear. Exclusive rights, it will go to them. And non-exclusive, we can make it a number of the products. So what my opinion is, we have to get idea or the problem from the industry. Then if you work easily, industry will adapt. So we have to think like how to make it our institution as the extended R&D centers of these industries. And institution also will get a benefit. Like for example, last budget announcement, Government of India has allowed CSA fund can be used for the research. So now already we are tapping that advantages. For example, Novozymes, almost 3 projects we have completed with the Novozymes. And last project we have taken from the CSA fund for that. So making the enzymes for increasing the bioavailability of the millets in the iron absorption. So it's possible. So, and again, milling characteristics, we use the same different type of enzymes during the parboiling unit to head rice yield. Right now, around 69 to 71% only yield of the rice takes place. If you use the enzymes during the parboiling unit, it's possible. For example, Marico, we have worked with the two projects. One is that how to make it insect repellent using the different technologies, like we use the radio frequency drying. After packaging pinboard, insects is coming. So these problems, most of this work has been taken place within a 6 months time. So that's what industry needs, a quick time, their problem to be solved, and we need to execute in the field. So same thing, we are working on it, but still we need to go a little bit further ahead. How fast we can make that initial contract signing or NDA signing, and how to share the patent rights or the royalty, how we are going to share, and exclusivity and non-exclusivity, because these are public funded institutions and facilities. So some of the research has to be open source. So how to make draw the line between such type of talk. So that is the one thing we need to work out. Still, if you think India and the Western countries, most of their Western universities are getting the funding from the industry, but we are not getting such type of funding from the industry. Where is the lack? No, that we need to sort it out. That's what I said. One is the IP right. Second is the holding the whole documentation of the process. How to do that? That is the one thing we need to address when we are going for the large scale productions. Come back to your questions. I can permit me to answer. Yes, what you are telling about iron, if you fortify the rice, that's a huge challenge. Then government still not given the relaxation for the usage of, we have to use only jute bags. Most of our procurement takes place and the bulk storage in the jute bags. And jute bags, air will go inside. When you fortify with the iron rice, color will change. That problem definitely it is there. But sometimes we need to break the draft. So that's what we have to go for the double encapsulation. Single encapsulation we tried, it's failed. So we have to go for double layer encapsulation of the iron. Then we have to separately, we have to encapsulate vitamins and minerals. Then we have to put it into the extrusion, and we have to extrude the rice. And that's what we move on to the other methods like a 3D printing, and that is not possible for the bulk production. Then we are going for another method. So now that is giving some bit good results. So, but government already decided to go for fast mode. So existing method we wanted to go, but still this is existed because we have to give high amount of, already iron is the bioavailability is 10%, not more than that. So how to enhance that one side. Second thing is how to deliver that type of product into the mass like a PDS system. So that is a great challenge in front of us. Hope we could be able to address it.
Thanks a lot. No, very interesting build up. And what you spoke about IP challenges and something gives me a segue to my next question. And I would now request Dr. Vasudevappa just to share his views. I think while we listen to some of the success stories and the great kind of great work your institutes are doing, do you see that there are some challenges in terms when it comes to the industry? Academia collaboration, and do you have any thoughts of how do we go about managing them?
No, I think absolutely there are challenges. We need to face them, face them out also. Probably one thing which always industry speaks is they come up with an idea and suddenly they want the results, which cannot happen. So that is one thing which is, I would say, always time lag has to be given, and which is very essential. In fact, I would even say here, we have established one contract research organization exclusively for industries. So the industries will come up with a problem, and we will have mentors from industry as well as from the academia, and both of them, they sit together and finalize, and we create a team, and the team can work and probably in a fast track mode. So that's where I think we are doing already. About 6 or 7 industries have come forward with a lot of good ideas and thinking, and which we will be working. This year, we have started this contract research organization. This apart, I think another area where we need to really look at, of course, is especially we have one program called the Village Adoption Program, where the students go to the villages and they work with the, I would say, the rural youth and all that, and probably motivate them for undertaking some of these activities, which I would say are very essential, which may be the output of the research of the institution, which may be old or new. But how do we popularize, especially give a face for the micro industries? I think this is another big area. And that apart, I would like to even make a mention here. In fact, our students, as was said by Tronpiji, I think they're really innovative. And some students have come up with the vegan foods, or maybe the I would say the meat analogs, especially by utilizing some of the pulses. I think that has been found to be very good, and they are already opening up some business proposition in Mumbai. So that's where I think, in fact, I have tasted them. They are very good. In fact, they have come up with all these the modern I don't even remember their names, but I think that's where I think it's very, very important. That apart, of course, one more thing we thought, especially for rice fortification. I know we are going in for adding the vitamins, minerals, and all that. That is fine. That is the basic idea of fortification. That apart, I would even say we need to fortify even with some of the protein sources which rice doesn't have. In fact, rice has become a high glycemic index product, and that is the reason probably many people are hesitant to eat rice. How do we make people? Because that is one product or one commodity which is grown so much in India, and that has to be really taken forward. We are thinking like the soybean, defatted soybean, if it is enzymatically, if it can, the anti-nutritional factors can be removed and can be used here. Probably that is another big area where we are, I would say, really focusing. So that apart, of course, coming to the millet part of it, again, millets are not that they are complete foods. We may say that, of course, they are good healthily as far as the glycemic index is concerned is low, and the minerals is quite high. So that is the reason probably we wish. But even the millets also have a lot of problems, a lot of issues. So that also need to be tackled, and especially even making millet into powder itself. Some of the millets, not everything. It's very difficult, especially koda and kutki. They have a very thick shell which cannot be removed. So that means we need to look at these things. In fact, we are collaborating with IIMR, Hyderabad, trying to look at how actually we can solve some of these problems and probably come up with products. In fact, we have come up with already about 15-20 products. How do we popularize it? Who are the people? Who are the stakeholders? I think probably industry should look at all these things, and absolutely challenges are there, but I think absolutely we can work together and take it forward in the right way.
Thanks, sir. Thanks for sharing your views. Tompe, would you like to further build on, from an industrial perspective, what do you see have been some of the challenges in this whole collaborative platform? I think institutes have been doing a lot of great work, and industry has always been hungry to look at disruptive ideas. So some of the challenges you would have seen in your tenure.
See, one of the biggest challenges which the industry faces is about how do you test and learn at a cheap and a fast way. Yeah. What happens is, be it a startup, be it a large industry, it's always not possible for anybody to put a huge capital behind the project or behind this thing and then start trying out whether it will succeed or fail. You don't know how the consumer is going to react to the product despite all the consumer research which we have. However, the opportunities at this point of time, which seem to be very little in this space, is how do we create those products at a scale which can be tested quickly and launched into the market. Yeah, not everybody can afford to have big lines, and at the same time, for what we have at this point of time at the various places are small or a slightly larger scale lab scale equipments. Yeah, how do we create those R&D opportunities or those manufacturing scale opportunities wherein the industry can come and start quickly manufacturing the product at a certain scale which can be test launched and tested in the market. Yeah, and at the same time, this also gives you an opportunity for the institutional R&D to test the technologies at a slightly larger scale than being restricted at a smaller scale where you don't know what the impact of scaling up is going to be. Yeah, that's another area which has been a challenge for the industrial R&D.
Thanks, Tompe. I think, and if I have, to move on to the way I would like to structure this entire conversation to its last phase, which is about, how do we take this entire, there's some great work, and we heard some of the academia heads talking about some of the great work happening in their institutes, and industry is looking for solutions. So therefore, if we have to spend some time thinking about how do we take this entire collaboration to next level, now how do we really bring the academia industry together, and I think FICCI providing this platform is a huge a space for us to discuss through and see how are we preparing ourselves for future. I think there has been ways in which we have worked in past, but would they continue to be the what would set us for success? Do we need to revisit the entire proposition? And maybe I like to start with Ma'am Shirdevi. So again, if I go back to my setting the context, I feel, and again, this has been, this may be a bit of a very conventional view, I would say, but we have always seen academia looking at some of the great science stuff, what they have, and they try to come through some breakthrough opportunities. While academia on the other side, start from what consumer look for, what consumer needs. So if I'm asked to come up with a new disruptive product, I would first look at what consumer trends are, what are they looking for, and therefore what we should create as an industry which address to this one. So therefore, how do we enable, do you believe that there is an opportunity for us to have where we enable this two-way communication rather than just one way? And, and if so, then, what should we be doing better in terms of bringing the consumer at the center of it and unlocking the industry academia collaboration to really enable that?
Yeah, so if you look at the academia, we are generally government funded. So we are looking for opportunity to publish the results of our research as soon as possible. The industry wants everything to be proprietary so that they can get profit. So the first conflict comes there. Having said that, we can actually come together to have a kind of an advisory committee between the academia and the industry where we can discuss candidly as to what are the problems the industry is facing and how we can actually go about solving it. We are more than
Do we?
Got disconnected.
Yes, I think there's a network issue.
Yeah, I think Vikas, maybe you can just move to the next question and can come back again. Yeah.
I think, okay, sure. So I think while ma'am comes back, maybe I would go to Dr. Anant Ramakrishnan. You spoke about some of the red tape challenges, and even, given the fact that, all the CISR labs or even ICR labs have some of the mandates and IP being managed. And I think that's what Ma'am Shirdevi was also alluding to, the fact that some of these collaboration opportunities get really hampered by the IP rights and stuff. And when both of us spoke, you gave a perspective of how your institute has been able to find a way around it while protecting the interest of both industry and academia. So maybe I would like you to elaborate a bit more on how you manage the solution so that some of us who are from industry can benefit from it, and then that could be a way around some of the challenges what we are facing today.
Yeah, that what we did is the problem and solution, everything. For example, we talked about salt, we worked for the nano salts and that. It's the problems identified by us. Solution also is given by us. Industry want to use that solution for the different applications. There only is most of the IP rights comes in the issues. What we decided, if problems and solution, some extent is given by the industry. Just we have to put our knowledge to make into the workable model or workable project. Then we'll give the full rights to the industry. So that's what we draw the line. So we worked out, we have the common committee, so they will look into all these things. Then we worked out. That works very well. Now industries are very happy. So totally for that, we made the exclusive project mode. So not even a single data will be held by the institute. We complete contract research like that. So we complete, we'll given the entire project to the industry. Industry can file the patent, they can use it. We have done the similar. Another work is there, like a multi-institutional, multi-industry. We worked with the PepsiCo UK. So they wanted to develop the product using the potato peel waste into their existing crisp chips. Like that, that model is entirely different. That is, we wanted to support Indian industry to get a benefit out of that what the product is going to be marketed, like a Siddha starch in the Pune. So we work with this Indian industry. That is totally the concept of making Indian industry to do good business. So there we are not hold any IP rights. We develop the product, Indian industry will get the business, where they give the raw waste into the product to the another company, so they will get the benefit. So these are the two model we are operating right with the industry. So both are working really well, but we need to expand that one. That's what now we become, instead of national important status, we give a little bit more functional autonomy from our ministry. So we can take this type of decisions in the institution level. Earlier it is little bit on the other levels we have to move on. Now this type of decision can be taken by the institution level. So definitely that will help us to move on to the expand our centers, as well as the talk with the industry. So what they need, our industry can put up their center, they can come here, they can stay here, they can use the facilities what Tonavisa is telling. We have established like a capital investment is the main problem. For example, irradiation, the pulse electricity, this and that is difficult for the industry to do that. So they can come here, they can use our pilots, plants and other things. So that's the way we have to go. That's what Madam Sridevi ma'am mentioned about that. It's possible to create such type of one platform. Maybe we can start such type of thinking to that. So all we can sit and what is the issues, then we can take up that project, even multi-institutional project also we can take up, give the solution to the industry.
Thanks, sir. Thanks for building that up. And maybe now that ma'am is back, so I'd like to go back to her and just to continue on her thoughts. Yeah, ma'am, over to you.
Yeah. Also, apart from having an industrial advisory committee board, we have a lot to offer to the industry. We, especially, I think all of us here who are present, either NIFTM, the two institutes, or CFTRI, we have been giving the manpower for the Indian food industry. So if you are able to help us to train the students, we will be able to give you the kind of manpower that you don't need to retrain. And especially in the context of soft skills, management skills, you need to advise us. They are not completely ready. They are ready as far as the analysis is concerned, but they do need other skills. And therefore, it is a win-win situation, in my opinion, if the industry were to be more open in actually telling what the problem is. And we can find the solution, because we are public funded organizations. Generally, whatever we develop is meant to be it cannot be exclusive. There is a non-exclusivity clause. But like Dr. Anand Ramakrishnan was saying, if you are able to sponsor and actually give us the entire problem, then we can have, at least for a short term, the exclusivity right. Still, you are able to capture the market. But if we don't do it, then unfortunately the Indian food industry is going to be the sufferers, because most of you are collaborating and getting in foreign technologies wherein the science is not really shared. And so I think we owe it to our country to do this as soon as possible.
No, very right. In fact, what you said is absolutely spot on. And even while we are celebrating how plant protein as a category is expanding, if you see, bulk of these ingredients are actually imported today in India. While we are the biggest producers of some of the pulses like moong dal and all, we are still getting the processed products from China or US, which is surprising. And a lot of these, what should I say, the international organizations are looking at India as a back-end supplier, in terms of sourcing pulses and grains. So if we are able to set up the in-house technology and create a value add to the native product, it's basically dal and chawal is the basic diet for Indians. That's a huge enabler. Somewhere, we are, while we have all the raw materials, we have great institutes. There's an interest what industry has. It just has to come together and talk to each other, and that's where the magic would happen. So thanks for bringing that up. And what you spoke about student academia, industry interaction is something which me and Tompe recently were speaking about. And Tompe, would you like to share your views on, on your build on further on this whole opportunity for industry to interact with students?
This is
Sorry, yeah.
This is a very important aspect, Vikas. I can't agree any better with Dr. Sridevi on this subject, because wherever we ourselves, both of us, have benefited from organizations like CFTRI, having studied there. And similarly, many students who come from either NIFTM or from any other institute, we have seen that they can play an important role in taking the industry forward and build the future for the country and the industry. And at the same time, what we need to do very clearly is to identify what are the areas of opportunity which we can bring in, and what sort of talent imparting can be done from the industry to the students who are in this place. One place is that which again I see that the institutes can potentially utilize their students' project work time for imparting these skills. Yeah. A live project teaches you far more than a classroom session, which all of us know. Yeah. And that's one area, both be it CFTRA, be it IFPT or NIFTM, have a good amount of time dedicated for their project areas, project works and the dissertation or investigation, whatever they call it as. If that area that portion of the time can be done with the industry, we can then take a lot more students in and start giving them the practical knowledge on the job training sort of a thing, which can make a huge difference to the students. And they can be the bridge between the organizations like CFTRI and the industry. They could be working on certain projects which are very important for the industry, and at the same time doing things within the institute to do that background work. Yeah, that's the thing which I would possibly put forth to all the three senior academicians in this particular panel to think about.
Yeah. No, thanks, Tompe. And I would now, maybe the last question I would like to invite Dr. Vasudeva. And just I would request you, sir, just also to reflect your views on, how do you think, because you're a great campus, a lot of students, you heard about, how the students can be a change agent, this whole stuff. So any views you have and how industry can influence curriculum, building on to what Tompe said?
Yeah, I fully agree with Mr. Tonpe. In the sense, in fact, MTech is the program where we have a 6 months research for students. So how does the industry use that, especially to address some of the issues which they want? We can depute them. There is no problem, because either at NIFTM or in any other organization, they can do the research part of it. So that is one thing which is very, very important. Probably I wish the industry should look at positively. Unfortunately, the timing of the program has to be such that their semester, the semester which is exclusively meant for the research should be utilized by the industry. So how we can always, in fact, I would even say here, we do have NIFTM industry conference every year. Unfortunately, the participation is from very few industries, and they don't even recognize that there is a need that they can collaborate. In fact, maybe accepting 8 or 10 industries which are there with us and which are working and some support programs, the research part of it. We don't say that they need to support everything. We are ready to send them. So they will work with the institute or the industry, whatever it is, and then pay them sustenance. There is no need for them to pay. So that's where I think we need to look at very seriously. That would be really important. And second, of course, is the NIFTM industry interaction always happens. And in fact, we organized once in thinking that people will not come to NIFTM. We organized in New Delhi. And unfortunately, the participation was very, very poor. And we wish this has to be taken in a big way. Even the PhD students, they can contribute on a small term project, because they will be working on a broader area, and which can become part of their research as well. So that's where I think we need to do. And of course, academia, as I said already, there could be even the alumni who are really interested in research. Probably the industry, I would say, the what you call the contract research organization which we have established can provide the platform for all this sort of an activity. which is time bound, which can address the real-time issues, and that would be really great. And I wish, of course, we are very happy and proud to be with some of the organization. Of course, very recently we signed an MOU with Nestle, especially to create a band of food safety professionals for the country. This is going to be a very big program because everybody, it has become a mandate that we need to have a food safety professional in their organization. So this we are looking at seriously in collaboration with the industry again. So like that, if people can come forward, probably on various issues, because I know they need not spend much. If they want us to do here itself, we provide all the facilities. If they want to take the students back to their industry, probably R&D facility, we can send them. So this is the win-win situation for both of us. This would be really, it should be supported.
Thanks, sir. I think, and very, very encouraging words from your side, and I really appreciate your open invitation just to help industry to come and collaborate with the institute. So thanks a lot. So I know, Rinka, we are just, we have finished the stipulated time and we didn't have a Q&A session, but I would hand over to you at this point of time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this has been probably one of the most absolutely fantastic discussion in the last, 2 days that we've seen. And I can just see from the question answer, there's just so much of interaction between academia and industry. And I can see, Dr. Sridevi, Dr. Anantaramakrishna, everybody's responding to questions that's coming. So I think that just shows that, given all the right conditions, we have great spirit in ourselves to be able to just interact and get, good things going. So I think it's phenomenal discussion. Thank you so much, everybody. And also, I would like to really once I get down to the questions and answer questions, just wanted to let everybody know, and I'm extremely thankful for academic institutes like CFTRI, NIFTM Tanjore, NIFTM Sonipat to be actually presenting the entire set of information on the exhibitions in the booths. Please go visit them, see what they have. And I think there's just so much that's ready for commercialization. I always believe that there is no point in reinventing everything, right? So you just go, that's what is available, go and try and see what you can tap into. So I'll just straight away jump into the questions, and there are a lot of them. I'll just go for the first question. I think this is for Dr. Sridevi. This is from a startup. And she's essentially saying that, they are into vegan laddu to promote Karnataka's ragi, and they've sold more than 3,000 boxes of ragi laddus, but they need guidance to how do you make it a global product? How can I get connected with government organizations like yourselves to really support millets and, development of this to really say, how can you, build it into a product which can then get exported, for startups like them?
Yeah, so when you look at millets, we have to also consider the primary processing before you actually talk about the secondary processing. Right now, many of these grains are threshed on the road also. So they do have a lot of surface contamination, and that can start growing and have food safety issues. When you look at the export market, you need to be very, very conscious about the food safety aspects. Further, it needs to have a good shelf life. So when you're making it locally, probably in a month's time, it will be consumed and they may not have that kind of issues. But you need to actually optimize how much of fat is being added, what are the different ingredients that are going into it. And CFTRI is setting up a center of excellence in millets with support from Government of Karnataka. Hopefully, it will be ready by the International Year of Millets. And we are going to be having 9 lines wherein a person who's a startup can come and use our facilities to see and make them without having to touch by hand. Definitely, that will solve many problems as well as scale up. So this is what I can tell you right now about ragi.
Right, absolutely. No, that's great to hear. And, also the fact that you'll be supporting startups to come produce over there, learn from that. So I think that is phenomenal. I would request this startup to go and reach out to the technology transfer department at CFTRI and reach out there and, do meet them up. I think the next question, and since you spoke about shelf life, and this is, I think, for everyone, any one of you can answer, is really around packaging. I think that does play a very important role apart from the formulation also. And so, there's some questions around packaging. What are you looking at in terms of new technologies for improving shelf life? The second question is really around sustainable packaging. Is there anything that is being done using materials from plant-based raw materials for packaging. Any one of you could take that. I don't know, Dr. Anant Ramakrishnan, if you want to start.
Mainly for the storage, packaging is the big issue. Mainly, I said about jute bags for the rice storage or millet. Hermetic storage may be the possibly as a best storage for the millets, because that we tested with the different millets, it works very well. And other companies have developed some of the films, like more than 4-layer films they have done. So that also we tested here. We given the recommendation to FSSAI to allow such type of packaging material in Indian consumers. But main problem, if you go for the biopolymer, what you take as a protein or starch-based biopolymer extrusion, that temperature, if you extrude it, we get the film, but again, barrier properties is not there. Then we go for the nano composites like clay or MFT. If you wanted to add, increase the barrier strength as well as the strength of the film. But again, issue comes the printing. Printing, what we are getting the printing in the normal petroleum margin films, we may not get it from the biopolymer film. So we have to put it one more layer outside as well as inner layer. So this is the big issues what we are right now is facing the industry as well as the institution. We try to develop some films, but it is not adequate to take care of what, because high moisture product, most of our products, we can't use such films. Then we wanted to go for the bottles and other things as the solution for that. Still people are moving on to that directions. So we need to make sure that strength, how we are going to modify. So a lot of work has to be taken care, but making this biopolymer to the more viable one. So nano composites, again, problem is leaching out. How it's reaching out to the product or migration to the inner layer. So that we need to look into that, and cost of this Tetra Pak, all the labeling and as well as the layers by layer. So this has to be reduced. That's what put in like a packaging industry. If you look at very few companies are manufacturing such type of machinery. So we need to emphasize on machinery manufacturers to develop the locally. So cost of these machines will be less, and then we can provide some of the waste or some of the starch or the protein can be converted into biopolymers.
Right, right. Any other add-ons, Dr. Annapurna, Dr. Vasudevappa, on packaging specifically?
In fact, no, as he said, as was said by Dr. Anant Ramakrishnan, I think the use of biopolymers, though it is found to be a biodegradable packaging material, but it's the permeability and also the exchange of ions, all that is creating a big problem as far as the quality the issues are concerned. In fact, we are working on it, and I would say a lot of these food waste, especially agricultural waste, we want to recycle and use it for creating such sort of a biodegradable films, which can be worked out through the nanotechnology part of it, and then see how best we can really address the issue. That is one thing which we are planning to do.
Right, right. Okay. The next question is for you, Vikas. A good point raised by you on consumer centricity of what problems we're solving, and how do we work on projects which are jointly identified by industry and academia, and we discussed a little bit about it, but and work closely with exchange of manpower. Maybe if you want to just elaborate a bit more on that.
No, thanks, Rinka. And I think for me, the living example of this collaboration is the recent piece of work which we Tata initiated with Indian Institute of Millet Research, where we signed a MOU. And I know some of the leaders who are on this call have been part of this 2-day convention, which happened in Hyderabad last month. So while, at an industrial level, we do have some of state-of-art facility and we have great research team. We believe, the inside-out approach is no longer relevant, even for industry, because we cannot take forever to come up with a solution which, we need to offer to consumers. And there is a great amount of work which is happening at academia level. So there is no reason for us to continue to work in silos in a very conventional manner. And to me, that's where the right exchange of manpower, resources, is going to happen when we identify these common platforms and the industry and academia collaborate together. I think some of us, Dr. Shridevi, Anant Ramakrishnan, all of us spoke about the fact that today academia is a lot more open for industry to come, use their infrastructure, and in that process, provide some funds to the institute, so that we are able to bring up with some technical interventions which really solve consumer needs. Millets, I think there are multiple issues. Consumer is convinced about the benefit, but then adaptability in various forms. the shelf life all of us spoke about, the inherent characteristics of the millet to have high oxidative challenges, and therefore how do we prevent that through processing, through packaging. So I think so. To the fact that if I have to kind of summarize some of the comments which made today, the advisory body between industry and academia. Institutes are willing to welcome industry from and to use the infrastructure to do a facility, and therefore identify those key tasks where we believe industry and academia both would benefit and they can exchange hands, and that's how jointly we can work to solutions. So it's a matter of we identifying those big platforms like plant protein we spoke about is a similar opportunity which waits for us to unlock. And thanks to the platform like today, we have opportunity to discuss what industry is looking for, where academia is heading, and therefore to me it's a best platform to identify the synergetic points. I hope I answered that question, Inka.
Absolutely, no, absolutely. I think maybe connected to that, I'll ask the next question around manpower. And I think there's a question around saying, this is for all the three panelists from the academia side. In your, the cohort of students that you have, what is the kind of training areas you are seeing today which is missing, which you think the industry should collaborate and provide, their expertise in to the academia? So it'd be great to hear each of your points of view on this.
Yeah, I think probably, maybe I know training has been very much, especially industry internship, is something which is very, very important for any of the food processing technology programs that we are doing very efficiently. In fact, I would say that is one area where a lot of effort is required. That is the reason we have established a separate wing for it, and which can take care of the students' requirement in terms of training. But all the same, there are some issues where we really find it difficult because industry wants them for 8 months, but we have a provision for 6 months. So that sometimes overlapping, and they call them in the middle of the semester, which again becomes difficult for them to complete the whole program. This is one area where we need to tie up. Industry should understand that, and probably we will be very happy to support them through an internship program where our students go work there and work with them. So that's a very much otherwise absolutely I don't find any lack in any of our the degree program, and including the trainings. So that is something, and that in addition to that, probably another big area is now we have developed an incubation facility. Students are allowed to even work in the incubation facility as a part-time employer and things like that, and they will be working even while that is the work while you learn program that also we have brought in. So that way probably I think our students that way are very happy. Only thing which they are complaining is because of the COVID, they want to come back to the institute, we cannot call them. This is the only issue. Otherwise, absolutely there are not many.
Right. Any other areas of training where you feel, Dr. Sridevi, Dr. Anant Ramakrishnan, where you feel the students need more training in certain areas?
I would say a little bit of polishing is required in the soft skills area. Often they may not, in the initial career, they would not know how to conduct themselves professionally. And if the industry could give in a little bit of training over there, as we even starting say what kind of dress should be worn, or how do you present yourself, and what kind of language is not acceptable, and what could be spoken. I think all of that would really help them to go smoothly transit into a thorough profession.
Right.
And including not losing their tempers. That also is very, very important.
I know the only problem which we are seeing is during their placements, they come and offer themselves as a candidate, they get selected, and when somebody else offers a big salary, they leave this. This is becoming a big problem. In fact, I would say the the CRD, that is the Corporate Resource Division, is taking care of preparing them for the interview, and we have a very intense program for about 3 months. We do that and we prepare them, everything is fine. But when this is the issue with industry, many a times they raise, and it is becoming very difficult for us to resolve. And I have told them very clearly, if once they are selected and they have come, and you should not allow them to go for the next interview. So let them go and join there and do for 1 or 2 years. After that, opportunities are always there. This we are trying to take care.
Right.
Otherwise, I think absolutely.
There is a question around mobile tomato processing unit, and I know Tompe, you actually worked on this in your past avatar. And but anything that is being done in the academia as well in terms of mobile tomato processing, which is being otherwise dumped by farmers, or any other mobile processing units, that will be good to just hear anything that you're doing in that space.
Yeah, we developed the mobile processing unit and we made the 5 units for the Tamil Nadu government. During the COVID time, it works very well, including we are not simply given, we given the total business plan for that. We given this mobile unit to the farmers producers company, for example, ISA farmers producers company, we had one like that we given to them. And during the COVID time, they have taken the mobile unit there, they process, they convert into the tomato ketchup, and that we made the available where they have to send it to that, which is the market has to be. So total plan has been given. We given 5 vehicles to Tamil Nadu. All 5 vehicles are working really well. So now we got a request from the, especially for the Delta region where the rice, nowadays the people wanted to go for traditional rices. For that, milling is the problem. They can't take that rice to the existing rural milling because cross contamination may happen. So they wanted a mobile rice mill. So already we started developing the mobile rice mill. So, and recently Ministry of Food Processing Industry wanted to give some support for the farmers producers organizations, self-help groups to have such type of facilities. Very soon they are going to announce that scheme. So definitely that may be the another way we can reduce the post-harvest loss in the field itself, and is the cultivation is more. So we can convert into the value-added product. But again, issue comes here is the cost and the capital investment. If you government is bear that capital investment of the mobile units, definitely that will be the nicer one to convert it to the value-added product in the farm itself. Because we made it including the boiler, water, everything packaging. We need all together in the single vehicle. So that definitely will help our lot of issues like post-harvest loss in the field.
Right. Dr. Sridevi, there's a question for you on what is the research going on for analog rice made with millets using extrusion, if there is anything in that in CFTRI?
As of now, we don't have a ready technology, but definitely we are working in this area. We are developing it, yes.
Right, right. A question for Vikas. How do we know if extra micronutrients being added to food are not having any bad effect on the food, essentially around safety? And are there any parameters to check, how the safety is getting affected if for some reason it's getting extra micronutrients and so on?
So I think, Rinka, these days, the balance between what FSSAI has been seeking the safety data and where industry has been taking it on a very high, what is a socio-responsible status. This particular stuff is extensively studied, right from the toxicological studies, which you do at an ingredient level before you put the entire formulation, is being done, validated at external labs. Having established that safety data and toxicological data on the individual ingredients, the final product is again passed through the same grade. And many times, or I would say most of the occasions, there is some kind of clinical work which is done by industry in collaboration with the great clinical labs, research institutes, like some of great work which has happened at INN, St. John's Hospital in, for example, in Bangalore and stuff, which further adds to the credibility of the data which is coming. So I think there is a very good, check and major kind of a check and balance kind of a scenario which exists between the government authorities, the industry, to make sure that the safety is paramount and being managed. So yes, that there's a great rigor which goes through the process, I would say, Rinka.
Right, right. Okay. There is some questions around vegan foods and making claims around the fact that it's not animal tested. Any thoughts around that? I think Dr. Sridevi, if you have any thoughts around the fact that it's not animal tested, is that supposed to be there on labels? And for especially when it's vegan certified.
Now, when most of the proteins that we are eating have centuries of practice of being edible, I do not think they require any kind of animal testing unless you're using a very unusual source. Only then it would come into the picture. That is my opinion.
Right, right. Okay. There's a question for Dr. Vasudevappa, and I think Ms. Tompe also brought about this question around saying, is there a common place that works as a contract manufacturing organization for small scale industry, who can get ingredients at an affordable cost with reduced amount of capex and not so much of capex? I think this is where maybe Mr. Tompe and Dr. Vasudevappa can just give your views on how smaller scale manufacturing setups could be set up for the industry to come do their, like you said, just quickly learn and test and see how it works. So Tompe and Dr. Vasudeva would be happy to hear your views.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's that. You can go ahead.
Yeah, please go ahead, sir.
Okay. Now, I think that is the reason, keeping this in the background, we have established the incubation facility. We have incubation facility for fruits and vegetables, for ready-to-eat products, or milk processing, even the meat processing, and of course the bakery, where there are many lines which are created. Probably, if somebody is interested, a small scale, and we can give it at a, there is no, I would say, capex involved here. We have established the facility. They can come and use it. Only the license fee, which should be something, which is not a big money. Probably if you are using for a month or two, it will not at all be a costly. They can come and use it. In fact, we support such of those people. In fact, now even our students have started taking some lines on a contractual basis, and they are working on it. In fact, I would even say here, one American, they are in touch with one American company, and they are giving some technology, and they are trying to establish their products, which is found to be very good. In fact, it is more an extruded product using millets and also some other grains as well. I think this can be worked out, but only thing, the distance it prohibits the small players to come and stay here and do all that and get back. Otherwise, it is not an issue at all. If it is a short-term training, we are planning, in fact, I would say that we are going in for some diploma courses or certification courses on such of these issues, where people can be trained for a hands-on experience. We can train them and then send. So that also we are just thinking.
Tompe, would you like to add on?
Yeah, I think this is a very important area, primarily because there's lots and lots of startups coming up, and they would want to quickly test their products and test their technology or test their philosophy behind the brand, and quickly, if I have to use a phrase, like what we call it as a fail fast. Rather than waiting for a long period of time. And I'm glad to hear that NIFTM has such facilities. And if such a facility is available, I would possibly be interested in looking at it and trying to see how can we recommend utilizing such facilities for various technologies which we develop and across the various products which we keep developing in this particular thing.
Absolutely. And I think, Abhinav, this is a point that we should take it forward along with Vicky as well, because I think, at Thinking Folks, we work with large number of startups. Yeah, and we can see this as one fundamental problem that always happens when they are ready to go to market. You have large manufacturers who are not willing to take them because they're just too small. How do they test their produce? How can they test their products, quickly manufacture them, small quantities, test it out with consumers and go on? So I think this is an important area, and let's pick this up, I think, as we go along.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, I think there are, of course, a whole host of questions that are constantly coming up. I can keep seeing that. I think there's one question, and I think this is also partly for Vicky, is how do you get more PR for the work that is being done at NIFTM, CFTRI, and so on? Because a lot of times the people are not aware, and that is also one of the reasons for having an event like this, so that you can come engage with all of these academic institutes. They have multiple booths, engage with them, talk to them, and see what's available. So maybe something around the PR of what, the work that's happening at the institutes.
No, very rightly said, Rinka. I mean, a lot of efforts are being put up, and unfortunately, it's not taking a scale. I mean, people are not getting to know what academia is doing, and that's the reason what behind we did the program early this year in the month of January with all the academia, Ministry of Food Processing Industry. In fact, VC sir, I had a call with Dr. Nima a couple of days back. I'm due to come to your office, NIFTM. And probably we're definitely going to create an advisory board and see how we can network together. Probably we'll do a brainstorming session, something separately of this.
Great.
Please come. Yeah, welcome.
I think we have, of course, time, but this conversation could have gone on forever, because I think there's just so much excitement also within the group. I can just see the host of questions that are coming up, and we'll take on whatever we've not been able to answer, and of course try and get back to you. I'd like to really thank all of you for really moderating, Vikas, this fantastic session, and each one of you to be here and give your precious time. And I know all of you have a lot of other things to do, and be here and really discuss some of the important issues. And Abhinav and I will of course look at this, and we will pick up this as some of the key themes that we want to develop, and go back to the MOFP, etc., and to see how do we build this entire engagement. So thanks everyone for joining in, and all of you for listening in. Please do visit a lot of these booths, understand a lot of things that are available. And yeah, thank you so much. Really look forward to engaging further.
Yeah, and on behalf
Thanks.
of Vicky and Thinking Fox, I would like to send thanks to IFPT and CFTRI and NIFTM, sir, for partnering with us for this event and be our academia partner. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. And thank you, Tara
Thank you.
Sampan.
Yeah.
Thank you.
so
Bye.
much.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.